Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry. Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely
the use of death penalty. Iran has long been among the countries that execute the highest proportion of their inhabitants annually. Just since January 2022, more than 860 prisoners have been punished by death in Iran. Her activism against the death penalty led to the rearrest of Ms. Mohammadi in 2015 and to a sentence of additional years behind walls. Upon her return to prison, she began opposing the regime's systematic use of torture and sexualized violence against political prisoners, and especially women, that is practiced in Iranian prisons. Last year's wave of protests became known to the political prisoners held inside the notorious Evin prison in Tehran. Once again, Ms. Mohammadi assumed leadership. From prison, she expressed support for the demonstrators and organised solidarity actions among her fellow inmates. The prison authorities responded by imposing even stricter conditions. Ms. Mohammadi was prohibited from receiving calls and visitors. She nevertheless managed to smuggle out an article which the New York Times published on the one-year anniversary of Mahsa Jina Amini's killing. The message was, "The more of us they lock up, the stronger we become." From captivity, Ms. Mohammadi has helped to ensure that the protests have not ebbed out. Narges Mohammadi is a woman, a human rights advocate, and a freedom fighter. In awarding her this year's Nobel Peace Prize, the Norwegian Nobel Committee wishes to honor her courageous fight for human rights, freedom, and democracy in Iran. This year's Peace Prize also recognizes the hundreds of thousands of people who in the preceding year have demonstrated against the theocratic regime's policies of discrimination and oppression targeting women. Only by embracing equal rights for all can the world achieve the fraternity between nations that Alfred Nobel sought to promote. The award to Narges Mohammadi follows a long tradition in which the Norwegian Nobel Committee has awarded the Peace Prize to those working to advance social justice, human rights, and democracy. These are important preconditions for lasting peace. Thank you.
Madam Chair. That was Berit Reiss-Andersen, the Norwegian Nobel Committee Chair, announcing the winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize, going to Narges Mohammadi, the women's rights activist and jailed Iranian activist. Well, further reaction to that announcement later on in the show, but for now we want to pivot back to the biggest story of the day here in the UK, and Sir Keir Starmer has hailed a seismic win over the Scottish National Party after Labour won the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election. Michael Shanks won with a swing of more than 20%. It's the first time Labour has ever won a seat at a by-election from the SNP. The vote was triggered after Margaret Ferrier was suspended from Parliament for breaching COVID rules in 2020. Well, Michael Shanks won with 17,845 votes, more than double the SNP's 8,399. Meanwhile, the Scottish Conservatives lost their deposit, earning just 1,192 votes. Let's look now at the share. Well, Labour won 58.6%, well ahead of the SNP on 27.6%, the Conservatives just 3.9%. And look how that compares with the 2019 election result. The swing to Labour was 24.1%, with the votes for the SNP down 16.6%. Our chief political correspondent, John Craig, has this summary report.
A jubilant welcome for Labour's newest MP, Michael Shanks, as he arrived at the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election count with the Scottish Labour leader, Anna Sarwar. The result was never in doubt on the night. The only issue was whether Labour's victory would be big enough to provide a springboard for major gains from the SNP for Sir Keir Starmer at the general election.
Michael Shanks, Scottish Labour Party, 17,840.
Minutes later came confirmation that Mr Shanks had overturned an SNP majority of more than 5,000 into a Labour majority approaching 10,000, with a massive swing of more than 20%.
And I declare that Michael Shanks is elected to serve in the United Kingdom Parliament as a member for Rutherglen and Hamilton West constituency.
Mr Shanks claimed the Labour Party is on the way back.
There's absolutely no doubt that this result shows that there's no part of the United Kingdom that Labour can't win. It's been a long time in Scotland, Labour building back to a place where people can trust us again. The leadership of Keir Starmer and Anas Sarwar's got us to a place where people have put their trust in us.
Mr Sarwar claimed the result has profound implications for the whole of the UK.
In the last 2 years of my leadership, we have tried to get Scottish Labour back in the pitch, to give the people of Scotland a Labour Party worthy of the name. And what we can see is Scotland's going to lead the way in delivering a UK Labour government.
The SNP blamed the COVID rule breaking of former MP Margaret Ferrier for the scale of the party's defeat.
Margaret Ferrier's behaviour throughout this entire process has been disgraceful. I don't think there's any doubt about that. There is no doubt that this backdrop for this by-election has been challenging for the SNP. I think the First Minister has acknowledged that from the outset. But look, I think you cannot transpose a result at a by-election with a very low turnout and transpose that to a general election.
The Conservatives' vote collapsed, with their candidate losing his deposit. But even though this was only a by-election, based on this result, Labour could win up to 40 seats in Scotland at the general election. John Craig, Sky News, Hamilton.
Well, in a moment, we'll discuss what the result might mean for a general election in Westminster with our political correspondent, Rob Powell. But first, the Sky Scotland correspondent, Conor Gillis in Rutherglen. And Conor, how has this gone down on the ground in Scotland, particularly, of course, from the SNP side and their supporters? Is this a devastating blow, or do they see this as a blip?
A devastating blow for the SNP, who've clearly dominated Scottish politics for a very, very long time here. But this is the smell of success, the sight of success for Scottish Labour that they have not enjoyed for a great very many years here in Scotland. Let's remember, this is a party who have had just one member of Parliament up until now. They lost very heavily, major defeats in the wake of the 2014 Scottish independence referendum, and this success here in this part of the world last night has resulted in a doubling of their numbers. Well, clearly, a couple of technical hitches here, so apologies for that. We are expecting Sir Keir Starmer arriving here any minute now for a rallying cry with his candidate, who is now the new MP for this area, with the activists who have enjoyed this success after many years of being in the doldrums of Scottish politics. And if the projections are anything to go by, based on the major swing that Scottish Labour enjoyed last night, the party could be looking at more than 40 seats at the next general election. Unthinkable just a number of months ago, a number of years ago. Clearly a party capitalising on the misfortunes of the SNP, who are mired in a police investigation examining the finances and the funding. The party where Nicola Sturgeon, the long-standing leader, was arrested, charged and then later released, arrested and then released without charge, pending further investigations. So this is a rally here. It's due to get underway in the next few minutes, and we'll bring it live here on Sky News.
Conor, we'll stay close to that, because we're going to come back, of course, when that happens. Just before we let you go momentarily, obviously this is a victory, first and foremost, for Michael Shanks, for the candidate. Keir Starmer, as you said, about to give a speech, a victory speech. Is it more a victory for him or for the Scottish Labour leader, Anas Sarwar? And is there a balance there that's got to be struck by the Westminster leader, the national leader of the party, not to push himself into this too much? Oh, I think Conor's taken his earpiece out, it seems. But we'll be back for more reaction, of course, from Rutherglen and Hamilton West constituency, and of course when Sir Keir Starmer begins his speech there shortly. Well, let's have a look at the implications for Westminster, and if this vote was to be repeated, what it might mean in a general election. Here are some of the numbers on that regard. At the last election in 2019, Labour won just one seat in Scotland. That was Edinburgh South, down from the 7 they'd held in the previous Parliament. But if last night's results were repeated across the country, Labour would win 42 seats and the SNP would be reduced to just 6. Let's bring in Rob Powell Rob, that would be obviously a seismic shift, to use a word from Sir Keir Starmer. It comes, though, with some offsets to it in terms of turnout, in terms of whether we should extrapolate by-election results straight through to a general election. But either way, this makes for good reading for Labour this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think usually on mornings like this, Will, you can point to a bit of detail in the results that maybe contradicts the overall headline that we can point to go, oh, maybe it isn't as good as the headline suggests. I don't think that's the case this morning. I think this is unambiguously good news for Labour. I think Labour surpassed their own expectations in this by-election. In terms of, yes, the caveats you point to with that projection that you can see on your screen, there are lots of caveats for trying to read across a by-election result into a general election. The first is obviously turnout. Turnout here was about average for a by-election, around 37%, but clearly a lot lower than you would expect to get in the general election. And then there are all of the individual factors that may have influenced that vote, this individual by-election vote, potentially the circumstances of the SNP candidate, or she was independent when she left office anyway, Margaret Ferrier, who of course was found to have broken COVID rules. There is clearly the circumstances the Scottish Government find themselves in at the moment as well. It hasn't been the easiest last 12 months there. But I think what you really want to look for in by-election results like this is the broad direction of travel and the broad scale of the win, the sort of pace at which that travel is taking place, if you like. And I think the fact that this is a 20-point swing, well in excess of what people had been expecting, does show more broadly that Labour is clearly competitive in Scotland again. And I think that matters so much for those two big sort of unquantifiable political concepts, mood and momentum. It means Labour can go into their conference in Liverpool this weekend conceivably saying that they are competitive and can pick up seats in Scotland once again. And what the Lib Dems always say when they take on big by-election battles like this is part of the key for overturning and getting big victories is getting out there and convincing voters that other people are voting for them. And I think that's what a by-election victory like this does. It means that they can go out around some of those target constituencies in Scotland and point to this as evidence of some of the politics shifting in Scotland and of people actually coming back over to Labour once again. Clearly, though, I think you will see Labour facing in slightly different directions, maybe, because they are trying to appeal to the conservative voters in England to take seats there, but they are trying to appeal to SNP voters in Scotland. And I think that's why you're seeing something of a mismatch in some of the positions that Michael Shanks, the now Labour MP in Rutherglen and Hambleton West, took. There were some splits on things like gender policy, on things like the benefits cap as well. I think the other policy question is what they do in terms of their stance on referendums and independence. I think the approach in this by-election campaign has been to try and avoid talking about it as much as possible, because what you're trying to do ideally is bring yes independence voters, SNP voters over to Labour, to a unionist party. And I think if you're talking too much, if you're sort of banging the drum for unionism, if you like, too much, then that risks alienating those voters. So it'll be interesting to see how the Labour Party sort of calibrates its policy proposal between the main party proposal to try and switch Conservative seats to Labour in England, and then the Scottish proposal to try and switch SNP seats to Labour north of the border.
Rob Powell, thanks so much for that, and we will be back, of course, for Sir Keir Starmer's speech, which is due any moment now, but clearly he's a little bit delayed, so we'll move on temporarily, and we will come back a little bit later for that. Now, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is sending a team to investigate a Russian attack on a Ukrainian village in which at least 52 people were killed. The rocket blast destroyed a cafe and shop in the Horotsa area yesterday in one of the deadliest attacks of the war. With me now here on set is Air Marshal Edward Stringer, former Air Marshal Edward Stringer. What do we know about this strike so far?
Well, as you just said, we now know 52 people were killed, but that's a fifth of the village. And the reason for so many is that they were attending a funeral, and this was the gathering after the funeral in a local cafe. The area is the Kupiansk area, which is a logistic hub for the region. That's why it's been fought over before. It was retaken by the Ukrainians in September 22, and we all know the importance of logistics in this war. Overnight, there has been yet another missile attack, this time into Kharkiv, which is just further to the northwest, where one dead, a 10-year-old boy. So, as you said, the UN High Commissioner has come out and condemned it and sent a field team. But also overnight, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has condemned this atrocity, as has the White House Press Secretary. So a lot of political weight behind this field team.
And do these two attacks on sort of slightly more civilian areas have implications for the military attacks on the ground? Is it just more of the same retaliation, just to a sadly bigger scale? Yes,
it's hard to see that there's any military utility in this at all. And therefore, I think the intervention of a figure, an apolitical figure, such as the UN Human Rights Commissioner, will raise the salience here. And I think the importance in the context of the overall war is it reminds people, not least in the United States, of just what you're dealing with Russia here, that they will indiscriminately wipe out a fifth of a village for no military gain at all. And we're discussing this, of course, in the week where Senator Kevin McCarthy has been outed as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and people are therefore concerned about whether this indicates a lack of Republican Party support for Ukraine, but also when NATO and some of our own military officials have also come out this week and said that actually we're running short of armaments to keep Ukraine resupplied. And so it is a good time, I think, for these issues to be raised. And if the UN Human Rights Commissioner is pointing it out, Rishi Sunak and the White House are coming in behind, then hopefully this will concentrate minds.
Ed Sheeran, thanks so much. Now we have some breaking news, and Essex police say a man from Harlow has been charged as part of an ongoing investigation believed to be in connection with a plot against Holly Willoughby. The story we brought you earlier that there had been a plot to kidnap her. Well, Gavin Plum, who's 36 of Pottersfield in Harlow, has been charged with soliciting to commit murder, incitement to commit rape and incitement to commit kidnap. He's been remanded into custody and will appear at Chelmsford Magistrates Court on Friday, 6th of October today. The charges follow an arrest which was made on Wednesday earlier this week. We've got much more still to come here on Sky News today. Are politicians fueling a rise in hate crimes against trans people? The Home Office highlights a potential link between MPs' comments and a rise in incidents. Hollywood star Liz Hurley tells us why her family's experiences spurred her on to urge women to check for signs of breast cancer, and the incredible rescue of a malnourished and dehydrated turtle. That and much more still to come.
Mandatory evacuation, you must leave!
For many people, Harvey is far from over. Christchurch has been changed forever by what happened here.
There was a river of blood coming out of the mosque. That's a scene that you don't forget.
Ida has certainly left its mark on New Orleans.
It just feels heartbreaking.
We help you understand the world with us. We are standing on the supply line right into the heart of America's opioid crisis. I've reported from around the world and around the UK. Are you trying to run me over, Sir Philip? No, go away. Look like it, sir. Will you respond to those who've made accusations, Sir Philip? Can you go away? Joe Biden knows the celebrations are over, and this is a country in crisis.
You don't want to be remembered this way. You always want to be remembered as something positive.
It is almost impossible to predict where these fires will go next. This gives you an idea of the strength of those winds, strong enough to bend and twist metal.
Do you regret the tweet, Gary?
There's no sign, publicly at least, of either side being willing to give ground. How do you reassure the public that all of these mistakes wouldn't be made again? I'm Greg Milam, and I'm Sky's Chief North of England correspondent.
UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Agency, estimates that 43 million children have been displaced by storms, floods and wildfires over the past 6 years. Let's get more now with our correspondent Matthew Thompson. Matthew, this number is unbelievable on the surface of it. Is there any caveats or qualifying aspects to it that makes it sort of more believable?
I mean, there is one, I suppose, but I would hesitate to say that it's much of a caveat. Essentially, what UNICEF have counted over the last 6 years is not actual numbers of displaced children, but displacements, if you like. So it's possible, if you can even imagine, that some children are displaced by natural disasters more than once. So to avoid the risk of double counting, they've simply counted displacements. So I suppose it's possible that the number is slightly fewer if you look at individual children, but all that tells you is potentially children are being displaced by natural disasters more than once. So even with that caveat, it's still pretty extraordinary. Essentially what they did is they looked at these displacements over a 6-year period from 2016 to 2021, and they found that an equivalent, effectively, of 20,000 children every single day over that period were displaced by natural disasters. It's a total of 43 million displacements, again, not displaced children, but displacements over the 6-year period across 44 different countries. And the almost more alarming thing is that they've calculated that over the next 3 decades, that number could grow to over 100 million more children being displaced by natural disasters, particularly as they become more frequent with climate change. Now, the most common reason for displacements, 95% in fact, were due to flooding.
Matthew, forgive me for interrupting. We want to now return to Rutherglen. Of course, you see there Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader. You see Anna Sarwar, the Scottish Labour leader, and Michael Shanks, the new MP for Rutherglen and Hamilton West. Of course, he was victorious yesterday, taking 58.6% of the share and taking that seat off the SNP, who stooped to 27.6%. Let's listen into the proceedings and the victory speeches, no doubt, from Labour.
As we said last Friday, the tectonic plates of Scottish politics has moved, and they've moved right here. And thank you so much to everyone who's made it happen, because you've created history and we've done it together. And Jackie and I are going to tell you about the campaign in numbers, aren't we, Jackie?
We are indeed. One illegal train journey.
30 parliamentary days suspended.
One recall.
1,400 volunteers. 90,000.
Times.
People spoken to.
30,000.
Leaflets delivered.
Hundreds of thousands.
You'll all know the answer to this one. 0 hours contracts. Press releases issued. Social media impressions. Billboards launched. Ad vans. Votes cast.
30,477.
Labour votes.
17,845.
And again, Jackie, Labour votes.
17,845.
One whacking majority.
9,446. More than the SNP polled.
One seismic swing.
A seismic 20.4% swing, and I have to say, not just a swing, a play park.
Number of projected seats.
Well, 42 according to Professor Sir John Curtis, but we are not complacent.
One amazing candidate.
One new Scottish MP.
A friend for me.
Welcome
to Scotland's newest MP, Michael Shanks.
I don't know quite how you follow the double act of Ian Murray and Jackie Bailey, but thank you for everything you brought to the campaign. Delighted to be your friend, Ian. Thanks for that.
I just want to echo some of what we said last night. This is a remarkable result. And I want to talk a bit about the thousands of people that we've met during this campaign, because we have spent 6 months on every single street in this constituency, talking to voters at every single door about their hopes, their aspirations, their dreams, their fears, their concerns for this community. It's been the honour of my life to talk to all those people, to get to know them, to find out from them what they want their MP to fight for. And now to be their MP, to have the chance to represent them, is incredible. This result shows not only that people are fed up with two governments that are distracted, out of touch, but also that they're ready for change. People wanted a fresh start. The number of doors I knocked on who said to me, we need a fresh start. Not me saying that to them saying that to us. And clearly with this result, they've put their trust in Labour to deliver that change. That's a huge responsibility for me as the MP for this area, but it's also a huge opportunity for us, because change now is possible everywhere in Scotland and across the whole of the UK. And that change is so badly needed, because we've talked to so many people during this by-election who are struggling with the cost of living, who are struggling on an NHS waiting list, who are struggling to make ends meet. Those are the people that I'm going to spend my time as the MP fighting for. And I'm incredibly proud of the leadership of Anas Sarwar and Keir Starmer across our party that finally have got us to a place where people put their trust in the Labour Party again. We demonstrated that last night, and I know that we'll demonstrate that in the general election, finally getting rid of this morally bankrupt Conservative government. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been part of this campaign. Thank you to all the people who have joined us at events up and down this constituency, but thank you in particular to the thousands of people who voted for me, who put their trust in me, but also the 80,000 people of this constituency who I'll represent whether they voted for me or not. The change starts here, but it certainly doesn't end here. Change is coming across the whole of the United Kingdom, and it's coming with Keir Starmer and Anas Sarwar.
Friends, we made history last night in Rutherglen and Hamilton West, and we have changed the face of Scottish politics. We have flipped Scottish politics on its head, and the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West have sent a message to two failing governments that we want an end to the incompetence, an end to the chaos, an end to the division, and instead we want change, a fresh start for Scotland, and change for every part of our community. And we've done it by having a historic election result with Michael Shanks as our fantastic new Scottish Labour MP. I am so immensely proud of this campaign, but in truth this is not a result that is weeks or months in the making, it is years in the making. I reflect back when I became leader 2 years ago. The Scottish Labour was 32 points behind the SNP in the polls. People were talking about Scottish Labour's survival, not its revival. And 2 years on, we have gone from 32 points behind the SNP to winning our first parliamentary by-election for over 12 years, from a 32% deficit to being double the SNP vote share in this constituency and an over 20% swing, demonstrating that Scotland will lead the way in delivering a UK Labour government. But friends, the change we've seen in Scotland would not have been possible if over the last 3 years Keir Starmer hadn't worked to change our Labour Party. In a short space of time, we have gone from our worst result since the 1930s to now being seen as a force that will finally rid our whole country of this rotten Tory government. He will be the man that leads that change and transforms every single part of our country. And again, Scotland will lead that way and deliver that UK-wide Labour government. But I want to say a special message to the people of Scotland. Over the last 2 years, in my case, 3 years in Keir's case, we have, with energy, with humility and with hard work, reached out to try and earn your trust and earn your support. And that hard work doesn't stop now that we've won this by-election. That hard work ramps up because we are very clear that we will have to work to earn your trust, earn your support, and through that transform every part of our country, including here in Scotland, but every part of our United Kingdom. And the final point I'd make is the other thing that is now really, really clear in Scottish politics is there is only one party that's trying to persuade anyone in Scotland. The Conservatives, the morally bankrupt Conservatives, are only appealing to their hardcore base. The incompetent and out-of-touch SNP is only appealing to their hardcore base. It's only Labour that's saying let's pull our country together and let's deliver that transformative change for every part of our country. There is now only one party that is the party of change in Scotland, and that is Scottish Labour. Labour, the party of change, the SNP and Tories anti-change. But let's now build between now and the next general election and deliver that historic Labour government that changes people's life here in Scotland and right across the UK. And that campaign right across the UK will be led by my friend, Keir Starmer.
Thank you. They said that we couldn't change the Labour Party, and we did it. They said that we couldn't win in the south of England and the north of England, and we did it. They said you'll never beat the SNP in Scotland, and Rutherglen, you did it! When I left here a week ago with the team, I said you've got to win it. You blew the doors off, and congratulations to our brilliant candidate, now MP Michael. What a fantastic campaign he has run. I'm so proud of this campaign, of what you have achieved. What a time when Scottish voters looked at Westminster, at the Tory government, and saw something which didn't represent them. They turned their back on that, but they also, not so long ago, saw a Labour Party that had drifted away from them. We've changed, and because we've changed, we are now the party of change here in Scotland. We're the party of change in Britain. We're the party of change right across the whole country. And whilst we've been busy here, you'll have seen the Tories have been in Manchester. What a circus. Rishi Sunak pretending that he's going to do things differently. The nodding dog who passed all those decisions that he now says are a complete failure. The Tory MPs tangoing with Nigel Farage. The cabinet jostling for the Prime Minister's job because they know that he's not up to it, and we are the party of change. And as for the SNP, this isn't about just a few months of turmoil in the SNP. It is about years and years of non-delivery, and that is why we are the party of change. Now we go on from here. There's much more work to do. This is a first step on a very, very important journey for all of us in Scotland, for all of us across the whole of the United Kingdom. We get the chance now to lay out our positive case for change when we go to our conference in Liverpool. That's what we will be doing, setting out the change that we want to see in this country. But because we have changed, we are the hope of change. Because we've changed, we can answer the question, why Labour? Because we've changed, we are hungry for power. And because we're changed, we are ready to serve across Scotland and across the United Kingdom. Thank you so much, everyone. Fantastic campaign.
Well done.
Well, we heard there from Michael Shanks, the new MP for Rutherglen and West Hamilton, from Anas Sarwar, the leader of Labour in Scotland, who said his party had made history and changed the shape of Scottish politics, flipping it on its head. Keir Starmer, the nationwide leader of Labour, saying that you did it to the people of Rutherglen, and particularly the Labour activists, not just that they won, but they blew the doors off with the scale of their result. Let's discuss all of this now with Patrick English, who's an Associate Director at YouGov. Patrick, thanks for joining us. Did they indeed blow the doors off?
Well, yes, this was certainly a seismic swing and a big shift in the results. So, for instance, we have to go back to 2010 in this particular constituency until we see a result anything like this, with Labour so far ahead and the SNP in second place. This is the kind of swing that the Liberal Democrats were putting on when they were marching through a lot of by-elections in the south of England last year. And indeed, if we applied this swing uniformly across Scotland at the next general election, well, Labour would be winning about 40 seats. So everything points to benchmarks back to pre-independence referendum. Now, of course,
getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry. Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Centre of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and intact? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of prompt pickup, anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Are you ready to turn it up?
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Star Radio. This is
UK.
Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Star Radio. Star Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make the doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am. Same for now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's
Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you, and we want to welcome you to the Star Radio UK Morning Show. Well, it's my pleasure once again to come your way. I miss you so much. But let me say good morning to my colleague and co-presenter, Ms. Olayomi Koiki, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy, who was pulling every strings and doing everything possible for the program to come your way. Good morning to every one of you. All protocol observed, because we are already running behind time, Abby. A massive good morning to you. Anthony Adedeji, good morning to you. Aziz, good morning. My brother Felix, all the way in Aberdeen, I salute you. Mr. Tabiri, good morning to you. So welcome. Let's crack on. It's a Friday edition of the morning show, the 6th of October, the year 2023. But the time now 10:53 from the House of London. And when it comes to the quote of the day, it says, "You shall be blessed, but prepare yourself ahead of time to be able to carry the blessings." Are you prepared for it? Or will your blessing actually kill you? Well, listen to Star Radio UK by way of the quote for the day. Now moving on straight to the weather front. What is happening on the weather front? Well. They said we're going to be having very hot weather in autumn time. That's going to be an interesting one. But let me tell you, this afternoon, a few patches of light weather could cloud may develop, but there will still be plenty of sunshine for all. There's going to be moderate to fresh southwesterly winds as well. And then tonight we'll see some clouds drift in from the west at first, then it will become largely clear again before areas of low cloud drift in from the southwest towards dawn. Winds will diminish. But when it comes to the temperatures as well, we're going to be having top of temperature 22 degrees and the lowest 13 degrees. But UV level is going to be moderate and pollution is going to be low as well. Sunset 18:38. When it comes to Saturday, well, blanket sunshine 24 degrees tops, the lowest 12 degrees. Sunday as well, we're going to be experiencing 23 degrees tops and the lowest 11 degrees. Well, sunshine. And then come next week, I think Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday we're going to have up to about 25 degrees. Then Wednesday, a bit of rain, bringing it down to 24, and then it starts going down again. But in a nutshell, if you have any events for the weekend, I can tell you, for those of you in the south of England or the southeast, this is how the weather is going to be for you. I'm moving on straight to your travel updates. Yeah, I can tell you shortly on the underground this morning. Now, before then, the major roads in London, A316 has got serious delays. All the others are running a very, very, very good service. The underground, good service there. DLR, London Traveling, London Overground. Yes, good service. On the river bus this morning as well, the Woolwich Railway is experiencing a reduced service. That aside, all the others are running a very, very good service there. The London Cable Car, good service there as well. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The final segment of the travel update brings you this. Yes, the ones that I'm going to be mentioning are the ones that are running good service. First trains, Grand Central, Heathrow Express, London North Eastern Railway, Lumo, Merseyrail, South Eastern Railway, and West Midlands trains are running a very, very, very good service there. So that brings us to the end of the travel updates. The weather forecast. All the others. Well. So wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't you go away. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break and I'll bring you the Global Trotting.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me say good morning to my baby sister Delta Hammond, my mom, this Vida Hammond, to my brothers there, and to Rosita, my sister-in-law there as well from the US. I hope you are doing very, very well back in Ghana, enjoying the weather there. Okay, now let's crack on. When it comes to some of the stories making around, NNPC GMD quietly awards control of Nigeria's pipelines to Northern Oil Cabal. Is it empowering the Northern Cabals at the detriment of those in the South? Are they trying to say that those in the South have not got the capability to do it, And if this happens, and then we have people who are saying that we are being marginalized and we want out, do you blame them? Okay, but you want telling us more about that? Anyone who presents false certificates to INEC is doomed. Festus Kiyamo, 2019, tweets backfires. Okay, so who has presented that now? Well. Tinubu forward certificates he submitted to INEC. Atiko's lawyer is saying, and insecurity saying that Senate to summon service chiefs demands special military operation. Well, and there's going to be some statement from Simon Ekpa as well. The what do we call him? The Prime Minister in exile of the of Biafra. Those terrorists, Nigeria agents, celebrating that our 3 weeks curfew has ended today. Don't worry, our aim is to paralyze you completely within Biafra territory. So I'm sorry, it's making the rounds. So don't turn that down. Lots more going to be coming your way from there. Start ready, okay? Now, climate change displaces 4 million children in 6 years. UNICEF is saying. Now, interestingly, when you talk about migration, and then with what the Home Secretary here, Suala Breverman, is saying pertaining to that there's a storm or there is whatever that is blowing our way. Now, you know that the causes of most of this the weather phenomenon, the climate change, has been caused by the advanced countries. That is caused those in developing countries now to suffer the consequences of it. So if they are moving, do you blame them? Should they stay in the countries and not get food or anything to eat? And is that okay? Until maybe there's a war outbreak there, and then they say, yeah, you have to stay there. If you're hungry, stay there. We're going to be bringing you pittance to eat. Well. You want to know more? Stay tuned. More going to be coming your way from there. Nigeria's president challenge over alleged diploma forgery. My diploma is the right one, so there's no forgery, Abi. Okay. Now, moving on to some other stories. We don't need rhetoric from authorities. Just reduce the cost of dialysis. That's what patients are saying pertaining to dialysis in Ghana. And they are saying that whatever is happening there is very, very low. That they are not doing much about it. We're not hooligans. Some of us qualify to be governor too. Minority are saying pertaining to what the governor of the Bank of Ghana has been saying. I apologize to Mahama. I haven't been fair to him. Kennedy Japan on a program on Star Chat yesterday did make that statement as well. But we'll be telling you more about all that in a moment. Star Radio UK. And the final segment coming here to other parts of the world first. Jailed Iranian activist Nargis Mohammadi wins Nobel Peace Prize. So where is she? How can she receive it? The women's rights campaigner serving a lengthy sentence in a notorious Tehran prison is awarded the prestigious prize. Will Iran release her now that she's been awarded that, or they know that if they release her, she's going to be a thorn in their flesh or in their backside? Now, every family in Ukraine village affected by attack, at least 51 people, including a child, were killed in Thursday's Russian missile strike, Ukraine says. And then in other stories, Trump seeks to dismiss 2020 election charges. How? Let me tell you more about all that. And dozens killed in Syria army ceremony drone strike. Who undertook that? Well, they are also saying they are all terrorists. Now in Philippines drag queen arrested for Jesus Act. And Apura Luca Vega, 33, faces up to 12 years in jail under the Catholic majority country laws. All right then, lots more going to be coming your way from there. It is all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And the by-election that took place in Scotland, Labour has defeated the SNP to win key Scottish by-election. The contest in Rotherglen and Hamilton West was triggered by the removal of MP Margaret Ferrier. That puts more impetus in the ways of the Labour Party. Okay. Ban live face scanning, says MPs and campaigners. AI Live facial recognition campaigners and MPs call for a ban. Police and private companies should immediately stop the use of facial recognition surveillances, says a group of politicians and privacy campaigners. They have raised concerns around human rights, potential for discrimination, and the lack of democratic mandate. It comes after the government announced plans for police to access passport photos to help catch criminals. The Home Office said facial recognition had a sound legal basis and had already led to criminals being caught. A spokesperson added that the technology could also aid police in searching for missing or vulnerable people and free up officers to be out on the beat and to carry out complex investigation. Live facial recognition cameras scan faces of the public in specific locations and compare this with people on watch lists who may be wanted by police or the courts in association with crimes. Boy, oh boy. So I bet you, if you know that you are being wanted, you have to put on a hoodie, right? Cover your face. Yeah, you put that in the Muslim ladies put on. Yeah, you can protect yourself. I'm not saying do that, please. All right then. How about you, Rachel? Hey, my Rachel, how are you? I hope you are doing very, very well. Good morning to you too. All right then. Let's take a break, and once we come back, we'll be bringing you Mr. Olayomi Koiki, my brother and co-presenter from North London this morning. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Hi guys. Have you booked your ticket for Saturday, the 14th of October? I will be speaking at this event. This is the Global Real Estate Wealth Summit happening here in London, Saturday 14th of October, literally 11 more days. Have you booked your ticket? Do you want to know how to get started in real estate? Do you want to know where all the off-market deals can be found? Do you want to grow your network, which in turn grow your net worth? Do you want to know how to invest in property with other people's money? Now, I will be talking to you about that. Do you want to know how to be wealthy? Generational wealth through property? Then in that case, you want to join us on the 14th of October. And let me tell you something. The most amazing thing about this summit is the fact that you get 90 days mentorship. Do you understand what that means? Please let me explain it to you. 90 days, that's 3 months with every single speaker. You get to speak to them, you get to pick their brains, you get to run things by them. You literally get handheld by 9 speakers or 8 speakers for a total of 90 days. Guys, if I don't even know that, for me, this is priceless. My investment journey, my property journey literally catapulted. In fact, is that the right word? It literally went to the next level when I got a mentor, and I only had 3 days with that mentor. You are gonna have 90 days, guys. I don't know if you can't take this opportunity, I cannot help you, but I look forward to seeing you on Saturday the 14th of October 2023 in London. Go to my link and find yourself a way to book that ticket. I'll see you soon. Bye.
The family, the Christian community, friends and loved ones of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends and loved ones and all sympathizers to a 1-week observation at the Numa Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, postcode CR040D. The event will take place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Buses 466 and 463 ply that route. And if you want to travel on a tram, Beddington Lane is a stop for you. Also, there's going to be free parking there. For further information, please contact Evelyn on 075 5483 8421, Kojo 073 7592 8737, or Sheila on 079 8358 1818. Come and mourn with us, even as we celebrate the lives of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako. God bless you and see you all there.
This is a letter to the broken.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up? In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
I know you think that your dreams and everything that you hope for seem to be late. Yeah, looks like your problems don't seem to go nowhere. Just take a deep breath.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 8 minutes past the top of the hour.
Don't tell me.
We should be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining us in the next few moments. So wherever you are, don't tap the dial. Starr Radio UK. Enjoy that song from Kofi Boham. Broken pencils to write.
Who told you the lie when you fall? It's the end of your life. I heard a whisper from above. I pray it opens up your eyes. Broken pencils still write, so keep on writing. And fallen soldiers still rise, so keep on fighting. One day you'll lift up your eyes to the skies and your light will be shining. One day you will win, yeah. One day you will win. Broken pencils still write, so keep on writing. And fallen soldiers still rise, so keep on fighting. One day you'll lift up your eyes to the skies and your light will be shining. One day you will win, yeah. One day you will win. Now snap on it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Alright, I got another verse for y'all. News around this life is not fair. Greed is all we see. You gave your heart to the wrong folk, they broke it, and now you put it on free. Fake life on Instagram and Snapchat got you feeling ungrateful. My sister, if you could see the real them, you know you are being a great fool.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 10 minutes past 11. Like we say on this platform, don't give up, don't throw in the towel, whatever you're doing, keep on keeping on.
I know say you don't know how to sabi solve them.
Well, broken pencils to write. But don't you worry, we'll bring you some law music during the course of the program. But now, let me take you straight to our North London studios where my brother and colleague, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, is, where we are all ready to fire on all cylinders, telling you what exactly is happening in Nigeria. But let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Not too sure if my camera
your image, it's frozen again.
All right, it's going to come back on in just about a few minutes. It's going to come back on.
Yeah.
A very good morning to you, as if you can hear me back in the studio, and a very good morning to all our viewers and listeners from around the world, and welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes. How are you doing? How is the family?
Well, the family are doing very well. We're grateful, and I hope yours are doing great as well.
Yeah, they are all doing great. Getting ready for the weekend, you know. At least we can rest a bit, but there's no rest for the weary. Well, listeners, we hope that you also enjoying and you are also having a good day, whatever it is. Well, yeah, we keep on doing what we want to be doing because we love to be with you. Now, interestingly, well, the Tinubu certificate saga seems to be causing lots of problems, but let me bring you this one first. That talks about a tweet that is allegedly has resurfaced, and this tweet, who did it come from? Talking about somebody presenting. If anyone presents birth certificate to INEC, he is doomed. Yomi, tell us more.
Well, before I tell you more, let's start with this. Let's start with this. Video.
No, sir. No, sir, I've gone to my. Okay, good morning, sir. Oh, my powerful CEO, JJ Laye Nigeria Limited. No, sir, I couldn't come to the office today, sir. My document. Which one, sir? The one I submitted? Yes, the one I left in my office for my employment. Oga, it's not for Joe. I didn't forge it. No, sir. No, sir. I've gone to my school. Oga, I'm a director in this company now, and you know I've been working. Oga, I've been working with you for so long. I'm a director now. What? How can I? The truth has come out. Oga, you cannot sack me. You cannot sack me. Even our guy in our country now, or guy in our country that even forged his own too. They didn't. Okay, they didn't sack him now. They didn't sack him, but you cannot sack me. They didn't sack our leader in our country now. That forged his own. Okay, you cannot sack me. You cannot sack me. Okay, you cannot sack me. They didn't sack our own leader in our country, like Nigeria now. They didn't sack him now. He forged his own too now. I'm not the only one. No, you cannot. You cannot sack me, please. You have to forgive me. Maybe it's an error. Please. You cannot. I'm fired. Oga, only fire me, sir. You cannot fire me. You cannot fire me. Just to know about our guy here. They didn't sack him. You cannot sack me. Please. I'm coming to the office. Please.
Well, that shows how Nigerians have been, running with this powerful video that has been trending yesterday. Well, it is Festus Keyamo, the senior advocate of Nigeria, the also Minister for Aviation, said, and I quote, in 2019, 4 years after Keyamo's statement, it has now backfired when the Chicago State University, in a deposition, confirmed that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu forged the certificate. In 2019 tweet by the President Bola Tinubu, Federal Minister of Aviation, saying people who presented forged certificate to Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) will be legally disqualified from the elected offices as per the 1999 Constitution, as backfire as its principle because of the entangle in the same act.
Well, who is Festus Keyamo?
The Minister for Aviation.
Listen, this is a proper shooting yourself in the foot, right? Wow. His boss.
Don't throw the stone in the glass house.
In the glass house, you shatter your own house. But it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting because the lawyers of Atiku has come to say that they see those discrepancies and have actually he said the Chicago record, Tinubu betrayed me. I'll fight till Supreme Court verdict, says Atiku. Now it all depends on what the Supreme Court is going to be doing or giving a verdict. Yesterday we were talking about what the Chief Justice of Nigeria has said, that it's not, you don't use the Ferrari that is in the public domain, the noise that the public or the community is making to make decisions, but everything should be done per the Constitution. And that's why I've been asking the question, what does the Constitution say about forged documents in our elections? But Atiku think that it's got the wind in its sails and it's going to be flying like no man's business. Yomi.
Well, I'm not too sure. Maybe they planned international media was not well put together because it was a very tight room. There was a lot of apology, from Atiku Abubakar and his team. But the message still went ahead at about 3 p.m., which is about 1500 hours for those of us in Europe. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party at the 2023 poll, Atiku Abubakar, seems to be saying thank you so much to Gani Fawehinmi, and I picked on what Sowore said before we go back to Atiku. Sowore said, and I quote, "When the late Chief Gani Fawehinmi exposed President Bola Tinubu, as at the time he was the governor, as a fraud, a certificate forger in 1999, he was actually humiliated. His car was smashed. Atiku ignored him, and he died as a broken man." I'm talking about Gani Fawehinmi, may so rest in peace. Sowore went ahead to say, Atiku then went ahead to form alliances with Tinubu because he suited him and his ilk political. But in 2008, when Sahara Reporter got hold of his drug forfeiture case in Chicago, the platform was also ridiculed. But it seems Atiku is not just saying thank you so much to Chief Gani Fawehinmi. He even went further to thank David Odoye. David Odoye is an investigative journalist for bringing this up. He thanked a lot of Nigerians, for bringing this up as well. But the question is, rather he said that the former Lagos State governor abandoned him as well as the Action Congress of Nigeria and supported Yar'Adua in the PDP in the 2007 presidential poll. Atiku also recalled how he saved Tinubu by not allowing the former president Olusegun Obasanjo to take over Lagos State in 2007, as at the time that the current president was the governor of Lagos State, there was a rift between himself and the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. Atiku is reminding us that he actually saved Tinubu as at the time. However, the All Progressive Congress has knocked Atiku following his Thursday attack on Tinubu, saying his ill-timed press conference was actually in the gross contempt of the Supreme Court. I'm going to come back again to you in the studio. It seems that this is not going anywhere yet. But Atiku said, and I quote, "Whatever the outcome from the Supreme Court, I would accept my fate."
Okay. If he said he's going to accept his fate, then let's see. But as we were saying yesterday, we hope that it doesn't set a bad precedent like that video that has been going viral in Nigeria. Because if the president, the first gentleman of the land, is said to have forged a document and that doesn't work against him, then I cannot sack anybody who has a forged document. That lady who forged a certificate that she had A stars or whatever, and that now she's being taken to court. I bet you she'll be sitting there rubbing her hands, waiting that look. Let's hear.
She was even dragged to apologize. Remember, she was brought onto the media to apologize for that.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, the video of the young man yesterday saying, "Oga, you cannot sack me. You cannot sack me." I mean, even our Oga at the top had a forged certificate and nobody has sacked him. But maybe the Supreme Court will eventually sack Bola Tinubu as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is something that as many of us would have to wait for that.
Okay, listeners, it's quite interesting. But have there been any reaction from the presidency at all, from the president himself? Has it been seen after this certificate came out?
Politicians, I don't think they have shame anyway. So, but again, what I can tell you from the angle of the president, this is what happened at about 1900 hours so far on his tweet, on his X page. I believe that there is no vehicle that can transport you to your destination as safely as education. It is the reason every child, regardless of their background, awaits a future of vast possibility. As we celebrate the Nigerian teachers on this year World Teachers Day, I would like to restate that under my watch, teachers will get their due reward. Education is the miracle that changes the fortune of a family in the single generation. Happy World Teachers Day. I know you want me to go straight to the comment section, and this is part of, I think the former British High Commissioner Katrina Lang eventually locked our comment section because of the comment that was coming through, especially from the Biafra. She eventually have to lock it. But let's look at what Aye Mojuba said. happy certificate forgery day. And then he came with a lot of smile emojis. Why is your certificate shaky shaky daddy? The Vuvuzela is televised. Verified certificate, and a lot of images coming up. Certificate forger, not my president. Certificate forger, not my president. And this person says, teachers are not certificate forgers. They reject this facilitation. It is the audacity for me. So you can see the reaction, but somebody went to say, thank you, Mr. President, with a clapping hand and 3 Nigerian flag emojis.
Well, mixed reactions there. I will be telling you more about all that during the course of the program. Ola Kunle, let me say good morning to you. Say morning, Mr. Archie and White Lion. Love and respect to you both. We also give you 101% love and respect as well. Listen to Starr Radio UK, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. Okay. Now, this is a story that worries me. The NNPC, GMD, quietly awards control of Nigerian pipelines to Northern Oil Cabal. Now, we have Simon Ekpa in the southeast. We have Sunday Igboho, who is now in exile in Benin. They are all talking about the fact that, look, they said, look, we think our people are being marginalized. What is due them, they are not getting. They are not giving a fair share of the national cake. Now, if this was put on at a place where everybody could bid, okay, a system that everybody could bid and the best bidders got it, would say okay, but this is not the case. But they said quietly giving those awards or contracts to these ones, and therefore people were saying that once again empowering those in the north at the behest of those in the south. Yomi.
Well, it was almost 3 hours going through what Professor Adebanji Akintoye said when it comes to towards the Yoruba self-determination. The Yoruba nation chooses the noble path to its noble goal. It was a manual for the Yoruba self-determination struggle for the Yoruba nation, advocate at home and abroad, and it actually detailed this next headline that also I've seen the government in exile have also responded to that. I'm talking about Simon Ekpa that you mentioned. But what are we talking here? We're talking about Mele Kayari, the managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, has steadily awarded juicy rehabilitation contract of the nation's pipeline to 4 oil companies that include 2 downstream retailers, a move that is tantamount to handing the retailers control of the pipeline at the risk of exploiting other retailers' outlets and Nigerians at large. Oilserve Limited, AA Reno Nigeria Limited, Maka Ready Oil and Gas Service Company Limited, and MRS Oil Nigerian PLC were the 4 companies awarded the lucrative contract of maintaining the country's pipeline to fast-track the flow of crude oil to refineries and transport its product back to the country. There's no problem if this was done, properly. Remember we talked about the Zunguru power plant that also have been given to a private company for 30 years to manage, so that Nigeria will be able to repay back $1.2 billion the Chinese Exxon bank loan towards that project. We hope that project will eventually start working from this month, as we were told, and we'll be giving update on that. But going back to this particular NNPC, speculations are now ripped that the Northern Cabal is still in charge of the nation's petroleum sector, despite President Muhammadu Buhari former nepotistic presidency have ended since May. Maybe this new administration is still working his way around to find out the right person to replace this individual called Mele Kayari. But the question then is, AA Reno Nigeria Limited and MRS Nigeria Limited, these are 2 retailer businesses owned by 2 northerners, Ahulu Reno and Sayatu Dantata, respectively. This is what the Simon Ekpa, the government in exile of the Biafra, said, and I quote, while the SOC and is actually responding with a screenshot of these NNPC GMD quietly award control of Nigerian pipeline. He said, and I quote before coming back again to you in the studio, at 11:26 a.m. Star Radio UK. While the so-called Ebonyi State governor doesn't know anything about the salt mining in his state, the Northern Islamics are controlling oil in the Biafra land.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? But, well, now, let me acknowledge, Shemi Adeyemi, it says, good morning, Koiki, Archie, and the rest of the team. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you very much for joining us on the YouTube channel as well as many of you on the sister broadcast and the various platforms. We salute each and every one of you. Now, when it comes to bidding in Nigeria, bidding for contracts like that, how does it work? Is there a system, is there a way so that we will know that maybe this one is a dodgy deal that had gone on, or maybe they said, well, we open a bid and they are the ones who bid it and they are the ones whose bids were good for the nation and that's why we give the contract to them. Do you have any information pertaining to that?
Well, I mean, from what I know, you have to go through the due diligence, bidding, but the question is, was the bidding itself advertised for many other countries or many other opportunity for other Nigerians to also bid towards these juicy contract? I mean, the question is, when it comes to the oil and gas in Nigeria, it is who you know, and it is all about, they rub my shoulder, I rub your shoulder, and quietly, like you had in that report, it is quietly. If this wasn't something that is flagged out today, no one, myself, and Nigerians will not be aware that this juicy contract that is meant to be advertised and allow everyone to decide whether they will also bid along the line. But it is not the first time that this is happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is just a country that continue, to not just surprise us. Remember that on Monday this week, the 2nd of October, we were talking about Dizaini Alison Madueke that have been charged, for the alleged allegation against her was all got to do with again juicy contract awarded. And if I go back to the National Crime Agency that gave us the reason why we were at the court on Star Radio UK on Monday, was not just because of Alison Madueke was somebody that they wanted to see. She was a suspect according to Andy Kelly, head of the National Crime Agency International Cooperation Unit, said, we suspect Dizaini Alison Madueke that has abused her power in Nigeria, accepted financial rewards for awarding multi-million pound contract. I hope that by the time Meli Kaira is also completing his tenure, we might start thinking maybe an allegation against him that will probably pin him down. But until then, we will have to wait for what is going to happen from the new president, whether this is going to be something that they will have to look into. Remember that the current administration is still feel very young, and I'm sure as he has changed a lot of securities and other areas, the NNPC is not one area that he has touched yet. But he has touched on the CBN, he has touched on the security, but a lot of Nigerians will be waiting for what is going to happen at this most Dracula system of the NNPC. It has actually sucked so much trillions of naira, and many Nigerians have not seen the result on their table.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? But with this news coming up and the speculation, let me put it that way, and allegation or alleged and the hand dealings that have gone on, do you think that will prompt the national financial crimes agency or any regulatory entity to say that let's go investigate it so that the public will know that everything is above water? Do you think they will see anything of the sort?
Well, I mean, the EFCC works. Remember that the previous chairman of the EFCC is still also now under the custody of the DSA. So, Nigeria is all about the cruise, but we have to be sure that this present administration is ready, to walk into and find as many corruption that have taken place, under the previous administration. The NNPC must be really, really audited so that we can find out what has gone in and what has come back in. But the question is, remember that also by end of December, we are told that the first refinery will start production. We will have to wait and see.
Let me say good morning to Shamsuddin. I hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Anthony Adedaji, lots of hearts to you. Love you, my brother. We hope you are doing very Shamsuddin says, Ekueto se baba wa koni baje fonyi sir.
Foni baje
fonyi sir. Okay, good. So I'm learning, right? Good. Now listen to Starr Radio. Okay. Now let's move on to one other story. Insecurity. Now insecurity. We thought that maybe with the inception of the new government, we have been saying that a new sheriff in town. There are a lot of things that is going on at the moment in Nigeria, but insecurity still is ravaging the country. But we have the situation where the Senate has summoned the service chiefs and demanded special military operation. What are they talking about there? Now the service chiefs came with their own white paper or whatever they want, their plans or the way they wanted to deal with it. Unless of course whatever they are putting across, they've not been able to put it together yet. So why are the Senate inviting them there, and what different? I mean, just going to be jaw, or are they going to see a special military operation in Nigeria?
Well, the Red Chamber, which is the Senate, has a lot of work, and on the screen right now is the Senate President, Godwill Akpabio, and to the right hand side are some of the faces of the most deadliest terrorist organization operating in Nigeria, from ISIS to Al Qaeda. It seems that Nigeria is now the breeding ground, but I believe that the new administration wants to wipe them off, but that can only happen if there's a serious engagement, intelligent gathering, but worried by the worsening insecurity in the country. And we're not joking. I mean, we can just go on and on and on. Since this administration have taken control, and the previous one that was there for 8 years, Buhari was a failure because he couldn't tackle the insecurity. Because why? Buhari was protecting his clan from perpetrating crime against humanity, across Nigeria. But this time around is a new person in town, and we expect some kind of changes. We have on this picture right there that you can see in front of the screen, to your left is the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General C.G. Musa. The next person is Chief of Army Staff, Major General T.A. Lagbaja, and the one next to that is Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala, and the last one to the right hand side is Chief of Air Staff, AVM H.B. Abubakar. Well, the Senate have now called them, for what we can call some kind of, summon the service chiefs yesterday. The upper chamber took the decision on Thursday after deliberating what we call a motion on the kidnap of 5 female students from the Federal University Dunsu Mani, Katsina State on Wednesday. This is the latest kidnap. We're not talking about the one that took place on the 17th of August, where the NYSC couple that were traveling from Akwa Ibom to Sokoto State have paid ransom, but yet they've not been released. Those that have been summoned are the names that I've given. Also to be invited are the Inspector General of the Police, Olukaode Egbetokun. There's so much what we call the one chance. I don't know whether you know what chance mean. You get into a vehicle thinking that these are cabs that can take you for where the destination has been agreed. You eventually been robbed and pushed away from the moving vehicle. A young woman died last week because of the one chance. Well, not because of just the one chance. She got to the hospital in Federal Capital Territory, Bagwalaja, and you know what? The hospital literally closed the door. And I'm not joking. They literally closed the door because they were not going to accept her. Well, also that will be attending is Nuri Badu, the National Security Advisor. What are the lawmakers expecting? They are asking the security agency to be more proactive, ensure the rescue of the adopted female student, as well as the COP members kidnapped by terrorists in Zamfara State. They are also urging the military conduct special operation to dislodge bandits in the northwest. But it seems that the security are more concerned as they continue to create genocide in the southeast of Nigeria with the engagement with the Biafrans.
A sad situation that happens there. Peru, let me say good morning to you. There is this morning, Mr. Archie and Mr. Koiki. We salute you. Hope you are doing very, very well. Thank you for joining us as well. But Yomi, it's disturbing because if you have security That is when you are able to wake up. You can go to your farm, you can go and farm, you can go to your work, you can work, late, and you know that you get home safely and all that. But insecurity, and then we calling there, and we have the president going global, threatening, saying that, well, he was calling in or trying to get more foreign investors into the country. But this is insecurity that has ranged, to a height where the Senate now have to invite this one to say, set up and do something. Do you think that it's about that time that they may be giving them another week or something, they don't perform, then they say they are fired? Do you think that can happen?
Well, we might have to give them some time, to be able to find out, if they are capable, with their experience to be able to tackle, this menace of insecurity that has ravaged through almost every part of Nigeria today. I was picking up on the Twitter from Olubumi African Confidential that says you can no longer travel along Nigerian road today, but it seems that Nigerians also, he was asking that the food and the insecurity in the country, is that the cause from the ESN and the IPOP? I'm sure many will have to answer that. But like I said, looking back to the manuscript of Professor Banji Akintoye, it's a 35-page. I went through it yesterday. It took 3 hours, to read it out, and it's still on the platform for those that might want to go through it. The most important thing that he talked about on page 6 of that particular article that he wrote, altogether, Nigerians seems to have advanced to the precepts of the terminal catalysm, a huge, unimaginable fiendish and all-devastating holocaust. In spite of Nigerian federal government claims that the fundamentalist terrorist organization Boko Haram is being fought and reduced in Nigeria Northeast, the manifest reality is that Boko Haram has been flourishing, expanding, and they now stand at the peak of its power. The Nigerian armed force cannot, or most non-Fulani Nigerians believe, do not want to win. Well, that was during the previous administration, but the question then is, how do we deal with these individuals that have now perpetrated every part of Nigeria? The Nigerian army are now have to force to fight against the ISIS from the land of the defeated Iraq and Syria and Al-Qaeda, from the Islamic Maghreb, the Akan from Libya. Some sort of collaboration has literally manifested, involved linking the Fulani Maradon forces, the Boko Haram. So we now have just not one individual terrorist operating in Nigeria, we have multiple of them. And taking you back to the US security alert on Nigeria, which was just about a few weeks ago, going back from what we have from Nigeria beef up security after the US and the UK says that the terror are warming up. The question is, will President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be able to get the grip with the security architect to dissolve and disband these terrorist organizations that have literally collapsed the economy of Nigeria, because most Nigerians now can hardly go to farm.
I was with Rachel, yes, she says that, how can a corrupt president want to correct the corrupt people? That's a good one there. He who goes to equity must go with a clean hand. But this time around, if I'm going to get an appointment from the president. I went to Oxford University. I have a doctorate degree. Yeah? Okay, you mean so from today onward, I have a certificate. Doctorate degree. Yes, I'm taking to the president. He can give me appointment for a foreign affairs minister. But it's quite interesting. But let's come to the story again. Now, I'm asking myself the question: all these groups, these terrorist groups that are functioning there, and the mayhem they are causing across the country. Now, what are their demands? What do they want? Because we know that ISIS was looking to form an Islamic State. Is that what they are still going on? They don't want to turn the whole of Nigeria to an Islamic State? And then we know that Boko Haram was saying that they were against anything Western. Meanwhile, they are driving cars. So where do they get those things from? If they want to go Western proper, they should be sitting on camels and using bow and arrow. Then we know that proper. So what are the questions? What do they want? And what do they want government to do? If government want to say, okay, let's sit down, let's talk. What do they want?
Well, what they want is to take control of the territory and that is something that they would prefer to have. You know, the northern part of Nigeria has literally gone off the Hausas, is now in control of the Fulanis. Most of the governors are from that region. But the question then is that when you go back to, again, it's all about the history of Nigeria. Let's take you back, just about a few minutes. The constitutional framework for the aberration in the management of Nigeria is gradual and relentless destruction of the federal order under which Nigeria had become independent in 1960. Until 1945, the British creators of Nigeria had pursued no clear policy for the welding Nigeria together as one country. The result had been that two distinct sections of the country, the North and the South, had essentially gone their different directions. The constitution that were written in 1949 to 1959 by the British for Nigeria became the first constitution uniting Nigeria as a one country. Out of deference to the great ethnic and diversity of Nigeria, the constitution ordered Nigeria as a federation of three regions. The North remained as one territorial, overwhelmingly large region, while the smaller but more thickly populated South was split to two regions. The question is, what do they want? They want to take control of the territory, and by doing that, they will be able to take control of some of the part of what is known as West Africa. If Nigeria fall into that, you can imagine Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic. Remember that we're still having a lot of fight going on with the same mindset of the same terrorists in Mali, Burkina Faso, and as well most other regions as well. And this is why fighting these is not just about Nigeria or Africa, is a problem that eventually might come back for those international communities.
Now, let me talk about two things here. Now, I was thinking of the view that this is what the ECOWAS should have been focusing on. Because if it spills out of control in Nigeria with all these terrorist activities and everything that is happening in the Sahel area, it's going to spread to Ghana, it's going to spread to Togo. After Benin, they are a little country, they just run over them, and it's going to be bad. But it looks like they are not concentrating on that. And they are just thinking of going to Niger to go fight Niger and say that put the president back on. And then the other one is the local or the state security forces. We had the Amotekun, which is what in the southwest. As to whether they are still working, it's another question there. Yomi.
Well, the Amotekun are still functioning, but what the previous administration did was to try to make sure that their soldiers were cut off the wings. One of the only states that was working very hard with Amotekun in the southwest was Ondo State. But like I said, they are still operating, but we hope that with the new administration, they can be empowered a little bit more so that they can work towards supporting the current security architects in some in the southwest. The same thing goes back again to the southeast, where they have their own security architect, and also in the northern part of Nigeria. But going back to T.Y. Danjuma, the former Nigerian Minister of Defense, says, and I quote, "The Fulani-led federal government of Nigeria never intervened to resist any of this terrorism. In fact, the experience of the victims of the terrorism has commonly been that the federal security agencies hardly ever intervene to protect them against the terrorists. In fact, the operatives of the federal agency are frequently reported as colluding with the Fulani killers." This was the former non-Fulani Nigerian Minister of Defense, General T.Y. Danjuma.
Interesting. Listen to Starr Radio UK. So the displaced people who have moved from their various communities in the north, due to all this insurgency and stuff, where are they? Where are they located?
Well, they're all different. Mostly in the northeast. Some of them are in Zamfara State. Some of them are in Benue. We have different IDP camps across Nigeria, and that again is a question that needs to be looked into in terms of their well-being. Most of them cannot return back home because of the insurgency that has created so much problems in their community. So mostly they are all condensed into one population in the IDP camp. And the United Nations has frequently been in Nigeria to look into such, IDP camps. The welfare there is very, very poor. And you know why? Because corruption goes on again with people that are already going through a lot.
Well, listen at Star Radio UK. Now, will the federal government, especially now that we have a Yoruba person as the president, will he be looking at the chances of arming the Amotekon, the state, especially, looking at them, so that, security is kept? Because we saw that because Buhari hailed from the north, or that he was scared and maybe decided, no, I don't want to arm them. But we know that they cannot go and then be chasing people out when they just have made, a bow and arrow or a stick, a truncheon, to say that they are going to use that. So they need to be armed. Are they going to see to do something of the sort? Do you see anything of the sort happening to bring about a security, at least in that part of the country?
Well, yeah, most likely. I could say there will be some changes. Remember that we have, different, individuals that are now in their affairs. From the previous military architect, we have the Inspector General of Police from the Southwest. But most importantly, it's all about the intelligent gathering. The Nigerian security must be able to detect and then train, equipped. Even the officers. That most of them doesn't have the right, equipment to fight, these. We've seen the Nigerian vehicles, military breaking down. All these are not, very encouraging for the military that wants to also loyally protect the citizens of Nigeria.
Well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Wherever and however you are listening to us from, we salute you. More Yoruba for life. A super good morning to you, Archie and the White Lion himself. Do have a blissful weekend to yourself and all the tech team. We want to salute you, More Yoruba for life. We pray that you also have a very good weekend, wherever you might be, especially those of you watching us live. Okay, now Yomi, let me give the rest to you so that you can bring us all that is happening next. Over to you, sir.
Well, as we were still talking about the displaced person, the grass-eating Zamfara woman and her children displaced by the bandit gets a bit of recognition. Relief has come to the way of a woman, Awawu Aliru, and her children that were displaced by the bandit and forced to eat grass to survive in Zamfara State. Governor Daudu Lawal's attention was earlier drawn to the heart-wrenching video clip which had gone viral on the social media platform, which is a new media that can become good and bad depending on what you're using it for. According to the press statement on Friday today, the governor's spokesperson Sulaiman Idris says that Lawal hosted the woman at the government house, also provided her with a new home and along with a scholarship for the children. The statement said the plight of the displaced women highlights the urgent need for actions to address the root cause of displacement and ensure that families have access to the necessities. Well, this is a good one from the governor, and we hope others can also be taken care of. Well, let's go to the screen. There is the information minister, and I'm sure that is the president from the right. What is the headline to it? Federal government says Tinubu sincere to Nigerians despite lying about the Chicago State University certificate. The Minister of Information, and this is now no longer Lai Mohammed, but we'll have to monitor and see. Muhammad Idris says President Bola Tinubu was sincere to Nigerians in alleviating the hardship being faced in the country. Mr. Idris actually made this at the business lunch organized for him, another minister by the newspaper proprietors of Association of Nigeria, NEPAM, on Thursday in Abuja. Drawing reference from the recent negotiation with the labor union, the minister says that the government delegation had to get back to the president when the labor unions were adamant that the least they would take was 40,000 naira. So that is coming from that headline. I will take two more from the business because of the time constraint already, and then we're going to start going straight to the social media. Discontinuation of spirit import will reduce forex demand. Remember that the Dangote refinery is meant to be something that will reduce that, but again, it's still work in progress. The German-Nigerian trade volume have now gone up to 3 billion euro as of 2022. High mortgage cost orders deprive Nigerian access to homes. Also, depots deserted as petrol landing costs has now hit 720 naira per litre. Interior ministers want prisoners to grow their own food. Well, imagine telling Ike Kirimadu that is in the prison to grow his own food here in the UK. Well, Ike Kirimadu is here
Yes, may Nigeria never happen to any one of us. I said we shouldn't say that. We see it happening to people, and we can say that may it not happen to any one of us. If he wants it to happen to him, good luck to him. Well, listeners, it's Starr Radio. Okay, Yomi, let me say thank you very much for that wonderful update. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll catch up later.
Have a very good morning, and bye for now, Mr. Archie.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki from our North London studios, who was bringing you updates from Nigeria. It was quite a comprehensive one, and to all of you who commented on the various platforms, I salute each and every one of you. It's 5 minutes to the top of the hour at a time, and we're going to be bringing you some music in commemoration of Chief Sunday Igboho and the Yoruba quest for a nation. Well, this is from Jeanette, and it says, Orere Demi, my nation. Top dog.
Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́kọ̀ fáráyé, èmi ò ọmọ aládé ni wà látòdè orí. Adé orí òkè kì í ṣẹgbẹ́ wọn. Akíkandìyẹ pákó gbèrè fún kọ̀lọ̀kọ̀lọ̀. Ọmọ ojú wa dìde ó sì fọ ẹ̀tọ́ bàbá rẹ̀. Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè mi. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò pọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ìlú tán lọ́rùn fẹ́ lọ lọ́rùn yọ. Èyí tó yàn ló tún ṣe lọ́kàn. Bàbá fẹ́ wá, ó tún yọ wá. Wọ́n ṣe wá lọ́kàn, ó tún wá fà lọ́kàn nísìn. Èmi yóò pọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè mi. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò pọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ọmọ Olúmídé jọ̀wọ́ má ṣe wòran mọ́. Ìyá ìsọ̀kẹ́ kò pọ̀ jù lórílẹ̀-èdè. Ṣé bí wọ́n ló gbé àwọn ebèrú dìjà? Bàbá mi dìde jọ̀wọ́ jẹ́rìí ara rẹ̀. Èmi ò mọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Èmi ò pọ̀ lọ́mọ aráyé. Èmi ò pọ̀ lọ́mọ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ìbá mi sọ̀rọ̀ ìtùnú sílẹ̀ Yorùbá. I will try.
The family.
Your eyes, I will try.
The family. The Christian community, friends and loved ones of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends and loved ones and all sympathizers to a one-week observation at the Numa Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, postcode CR040D. The event will take place on Friday, the 6th of October 2023 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
I will lay down.
Buses 466 and 463 ply that route. And if you want to travel on a tram, Beddington Lane is a stop for you. Also, there's going to be free parking there. For further information, please contact Evelyn on 075 5483 8421, Kojo 073 7592 8737, or Sheila on 079 8358 1818. Come and mourn with us, even as we celebrate the lives of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako. God bless you and see you all there. Okay, welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK. Yes, as you see, the event is taking place tonight at the Numa Christian Center at 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon CR040D. So please, if you are in the catchment area or you are around the London area, come mourn with us whilst we celebrate the lives of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako. The venue again, Numa Christian Center, postcode CR040D. There is parking in the area. Yes, I know the area very, very well. So make a date and come join us too. So, all right then. Let me say good afternoon once again to Pero. Pero says amen, amen, amen. May Nigeria not happen to us there. All right then. So now let's move on. Let me turn the lines open. You want to call in 0208-133-2257 or 58. 0208-133-2257 or 58. The numbers to call. And then if you want to text or WhatsApp 0753-966-1744, 0753-966-1744. Twitter handle is Starr Radio. You can email address is info@starradiouk.com. All right. So now let's crack on. Let's move on to other stories making the rounds this morning. Well, climate change displaces 43 million children in 6 years. That's what UNICEF is saying. So if you happen to find any of the children crossing the channel or making their way to some of these European countries, crossing the Mediterranean, let me put it that way. Well, crossing the channel, somebody says that you are in a country that's not a hostile country. You can live there, but people want to still cross the channel to this base. So fine. So let's put it this way: crossing the Mediterranean, right? Good. Now, do you know the actions? And someone would say the inactions of the advanced countries has contributed to the harsh weather phenomenon that we are facing at the moment. But if they happen to be moving, they'll tell you, well, there is no unrest in the other part of the world, and therefore they are not welcome. You catch my drift. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. But what do you think about all that? Well, there's some sort of stories making the rounds across the globe and it's coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In Mali, the army says they are close to the Kida rebel stronghold. We hope that they are well armed to actually overcome them. Let me put it that way. The United Nations said on Thursday that bringing aid into conflict-stricken Sudan poses various challenges, with the country's warring factions hampering humanitarian efforts. Now, Sudan was plunged into chaos when tensions between the military headed by General Abdel Fattah Bahrain and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary led by Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo burst into open warfare in April. Now, Clementine Nkweta Salami, special representative for the UN Secretary General and resident and humanitarian coordinator for Sudan, said delivering aid through its two entry points of Port Sudan and the Chad-Darfur border are equally problematic. So what is the way forward for them? And when things like that are going on and we sit down on consent, somebody will say they've not sat down on consent, they've been involved. But have they tried much? Because the issue is, if we are not able to stop whatever is happening that is causing people to flee their country, what is going to happen is that they are going to be facing hunger, insecurity, and they want to flee their countries. And when they flee their countries, where do they go? They want to go to their next country or the best place for them where they can get their children educated, their lives better off than where they were. And that seems to be what is happening there. And what do we think about all that? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In Cameroon, 2 villagers executed in public by separatists, and it is a scary one. 2 villagers were publicly executed in the market in a market by separatist rebel in Western Cameroon in the grip of fighting between the army and separatists from the English-speaking minority who are accustomed to this type of assassination. The prefect said on Thursday. Now, for almost 7 years, a deadly conflict has opposed the two camps, each accused of crimes against civilians by international NGOs and the UN, and the northwest and southwest regions populated mainly by the English-speaking minority of this predominantly French-speaking Central African country. Now, late Wednesday afternoon, a group of armed terrorists invaded the village of Guzang in the northwest kidnapped 2 civilians from their homes, who they then summarily executed by gunfire in the market square in front of a crowd of helpless people, wrote Benoit Nekas Foda Etaba, the prefect of the Momo department, in a press release on Thursday. I don't get it when they say they are prefects, you know. The authorities generally call the English-speaking armed groups who demanded independence of the 2 raging terrorists. The latter frequently carry out targeted assassination of civilians, particularly civil servants and teachers, whom they accuse of collaborating with the central power. Now, so with all this that is going on, and with people losing their lives daily, what do you think is a way forward for them? Do they just say, you know what we can do is just allow them to go on a referendum, have a referendum, and if the majority of them want to leave, let them leave? Because after all, the colonial masters just put us all together. They just thought, okay, it's good, let's put them, then they share us. And it was, they were speaking English, right? They might not be, and the next country to them, Cameroon, is it Nigeria? Nigeria was also being controlled by the British as well, speaking English, okay? Now, they decided to cede that side of that's the northwest and the southwest of Cameroon that was the northeast and the southeast of Nigeria to Cameroon. And these people are saying that we don't think we belong, we want out. Now, I don't understand why when people say they don't want, we say, no, we want to force you there. Now, in this time and age, or in this day and age, when you talk about people even living together as couples, and they get a point where they say that we don't want the marriage any longer. Now, it's gotten to a point where you don't need to justify why. You say, I've had enough and I want to go. And they have to allow you to go. But when it comes to when lives are actually under threat, security and everything under threat, education and everything, we say, no, that is okay. Let that be. How? Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. A sad one there. We just have to move on because of our times. All the time, let me put it that way. The minority in Parliament has slammed Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, over his reaction to the Occupy Bank of Ghana protests. Now, the governor, in an interview with banking.com, rejected calls for him to resign over mismanagement of the central bank, which resulted in over 60 billion cedis losses. Now, Dr. Addison questioned why the minority failed to use other channels to get their grievances across by parade on the streets like hooligans. Now, speaking a previous day, this morning, Dr. Kwabena Donko argued the governor should have taken responsibility for the mess the country's economy is in rather than resort to insults. He goes on further to say, I believe the governor's response is most unfortunate. Yes, we have avenues, and it is our democratic right to choose which avenues, as long as it is legitimate, to use to express our concern, the pro-East member of parliament stated. Now, he continued by saying, even though it was led by the minority, there was civil society organizations and other organizations involved and other trade unions involved as well. So if we chose to demonstrate within the requirements of the law, the least the governor could do was to receive our petition. And if there are circumstances he could not receive our petition, he should not be insulting us. We are not hooligans. Some of us are qualified as he is. Others are even more qualified in the fields of endeavor. So it is most unfortunate that he is invading the real issues. The ranking member of Committee of Employment, Social Welfare and State-Owned Enterprises reminded Dr. Addison his outfit will have to deal with Parliament moving forward. He stated that the Bank of Ghana has performed abysmally in performing its function, and it is true. But the other time when he was invited to by Parliament, did he appear? Did he? Let me know. It's like when they were trying to invite the what do we call him as well? The INEC. I call them INEC. INEC is for Nigeria. The EC boss. Did she appear? No. So what seems to be going on? Have they become a law to themselves? Like the DSS who does things whatever, however, whenever they want? Okay, listen to Starr Radio UK. In one other story as well that has been captured there, Kwabena Donkor said the former power minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, is warning the government to tread cautiously with attempt to privatize Tema Oil Refinery. Now, some of TOR have been agitating over what they term another shady deal with a subsidiary of Torrentco to privatize the refinery. Now, Dr. Donkor argued the sorry state of the TOR is as a result of the selfish interests of all stakeholders. The Pro-East MP called for broader engagement in finding appropriate solutions to problems of the refinery established by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. With the Torrentco agreement, the Public Procurement Authority advised them to go back to the Ministry of Finance, the Public-Private Partnership Division, and reframe the approach because it did not meet the requirement of the PPA. This has not been done to the best of my knowledge. So, if they go back and come back under another cover, I can only caution them that they should be careful. Respect the laws of Ghana. Respect the intelligence of the average Ghanaian. Yes, TOR is in dying streams. There is no doubt about that. But in an attempt to rescue it, we must engage in. We must not engage in illegalities. He continued. For me, that is important. TOR is potentially viable. TOR has been the victim of gross mismanagement from policy makers, from the board and management of TOR, and also from the workers, the unions as well. So what has happened there? And what is the way forward for all? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 14 minutes past the top of the hour. And let's move on to the countries that is making stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. I bet the authorities in Iran will be saying tough. But somebody say tough to what? Narges Mohammadi, a jailed Iranian human rights activist, has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The head of the Nobel Committee lauded Mohammadi's first fight against the oppression of women in the country, saying she was a freedom fighter. The activist is currently serving a lengthy sentence in Tehran's notorious Evin prison. The committee said it hoped Iran would soon release her. Her family said the award was a historic and profound moment for Iran's fight for freedom. And Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe, who was held in Evin jail with Mohammadi, said she was so pleased. It makes me cry. The award comes after more than a year of protest in Iran, spearheaded by women. Nazani said that was set free in March 2022, 6 years after being arrested on spy charges in Iran. She did so much for all of us in Evin. Narges is an inspiration and a pillar to the women in the female ward in Evin for her fearless fight against violation of women's rights, use of solitary confinement and execution in the judicial system in Iran. This award belongs to every single Iranian woman who, one way or another, has been and remains a victim of injustice in Iran. But Narges Mohammadi may be serving a 10-year prison in Tehran notorious Evin prison, but that's not stopped her from speaking about the abuse of women in her country. Now, back in December, Mohammadi said through a letter to the BBC that women detained in anti-government protests were being sexually and physically abused. Now, if you are sexually abusing somebody, is that no worse than somebody covering their head and said they have left some of their hair on? So at times I ask myself the question, what exactly is going on there? He who goes to equity must go with a clean hand. If you say that we all have to live a purge life as clear as this, then the authorities also have to do the same. But it doesn't look that way. They will tell you do this, and meanwhile they are there doing all sorts. But well, listeners, it's Star Radio UK. We're going to be bringing the program to a close pretty soon because our money man is involved in a meeting and therefore cannot be joining us today. But wherever you are, don't tag the dial whilst we stay tuned, whilst we try to bring the rest of the stories making the rounds, and then we can bring the program to a close there. Well, Chinese ships are blocking Philippine supply boats. Why? Information coming to the BBC says the Chinese vessel blocking Filipino supply boats to an outpost in the South China Sea. The incident took place at two Philippine Coast Guard ships, one of which the BBC was aboard, and two tiny commercial boats made their way to the second Thomas shore. Now, they were met by a ship marked as the Chinese Coast Guard that was 5 times bigger than the commercial boats. The encounter within the two sides lasted several hours. Tensions between Manila and Beijing remains high after the Philippines Coast Guard cut China's barriers in disputed waters last month. Now, Manila resupplies its outposts in the second Thomas shore in the Spratly Island every month to reinforce its economic rights to waters that are both rich in fish and mineral resources. Now, Beijing claims almost the entire South China Sea, including Spratly's, which is also claimed in part by the Philippines. Now, it goes on. The incident took place on Wednesday, the second day of the 3-day mission to the second Thomas shore. The journey proceeded in rough seas due to a then oncoming typhoon and the seasonal monsoon. A little past dawn, the Filipinos were met by what appeared to be the Chinese Coast Guard, as well as 2 blue militia vessels with Chinese markings. The 2 Philippine Coast Guards ships were escorting the Filipino commercial boats, which carried supplies that are good for roughly 1 month. Now, when the two countries' vessels encountered each other, the Chinese ship sent radio challenges to the Filipinos, asking them to leave. When the Filipino ships refused, the Chinese aligned themselves in a box shape to block them. The 2 Filipino commercial ships got past the blockade because of their small size, a strategy that has worked in recent months. But the 2 Philippine Coast Guard ships were too big to pass, and at one point got within a few meters of the Chinese ships. They were so close that their crews took photos of each other. A Philippines military plane was also seen flying overhead. The Philippines ships turned back at sundown when they confirmed that the supplies had been delivered and that the 2 commercial ships were safely on their way back to port. All 4 vessels made it back to port several hours drive north of the capital Manila on Thursday. What is all this about? Can't we have a bit of peace? Well, somebody say, well, you can't have peace without war, is it? Well, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I did say yesterday, Biden faces growing criticism of a new border wall. U.S. officials say they are legally obliged to move ahead with a new section of the south border wall because they want to keep crossing of people. Now, as I said earlier on, if you look at what is happening in other parts of African countries where about 6 million children have been affected by climate change, who are the most perpetrators of this? Well, it's all coming away from Star Radio UK. Now, officials respond to bed-bug panic as Paris schools hit. Government officials meet as teachers refuse to work following the latest reported infestation. Bed-bugs, boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. So, we'll talk about that later on. Well, Putin. Why are we putting him? Well, we're putting himself in Russia. Now, has held a final successful test of a nuclear-powered cruise missile, Vladimir Putin has claimed. Now, the president's comments came after his spokesman rejected a New York Times report that the testing of the weapon known as Burevestnik was imminent. The experimental weapon, first announced in 2018, has been hailed as having a potentially unlimited range. It said to be powered by nuclear reactors and is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead, but little is officially known of its capabilities, and there are reports that previous tests have failed. President Putin's account has not been independently confirmed, and there has been no word so far from the Russian Defense Ministry. However, satellite images circulated last month indicated that Russia had recently built new facilities at a remote Arctic island location where Soviet nuclear tests were previously conducted. The images showed construction work on Novaya Zemlya, an island archipelago in the northern Barents Sea. Now, we have now virtually finished work on modern types of strategic weaponry, about which I have spoken and which I announced a few years ago. Mr. Putin told a meeting in the Black Sea resort of Sochi on Thursday, which was broadcast live on state television. He added, a final successful test has been held of Burevestnik, a global range nuclear power cruise missile. The missile, codenamed Skyfall by NATO, is said to be powered by a nuclear reactor, which is supposed to activate after solid fuel rocket booster have launched it into the air. But the New York Times quoted an arms control campaign group, the Nuclear Threat Initiative, as saying that the previous known 13 tests of the system between 2017 and 2019 were all unsuccessful. So what is happening? Interesting. Starr Radio UK. We're going to be winding up pretty soon, but wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial. Okay, let's come to the UK front and let's look at some of the stories making the rounds here, as we've got about only 6 minutes to bring the program to a close. Now, the first one is a ban live face scanning, says MPs and campaigners. Well, the police are said to be rolling out an AI-powered facial recognition cameras, which you are walking it down, ding, pew, it's you, they are looking for you, and then they just come again after you, or criminals. Do you think that will help us or not? Is that infringing on human rights? Well, somebody said if you want to fight crime, then maybe that's the way forward to go. But what do you think about all that? And Labour has defeated SNP to win key Scottish by-election is the most prominent story making the rounds there. Labour has defeated SNP to win the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election. The party's candidate, Michael Shanks, took the Westminster seat with 17,847 votes, more than double the number polled by the SNP Cathy Loudon. The result was a swing of 20.4% from the SNP to Labour. The by-election was called after former SNP MP Margaret Ferrier was ousted by her constituent for breaking COVID rules. Now, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said it was a seismic night and that people in Rutherglen and Hamilton West had sent a clear message. He added, I have always said that winning back the trust of people in Scotland is essential. Tonight's victory is culmination of 3.5 years of hard work and humility on that journey. SNP candidate Katie Loudon had 8,399 votes, which represented a 27.6% share of the turnout, which was down by 16% on the 2019 general election. This was the first major electoral test for the nationalists since Hamza Yusuf succeeded Nicola Sturgeon as leader. Well, so the votes, Labour, Michael Shanks had 58.6%, up by 24.1%. SNP, Katie Loudon, 27.6%, down by minus 16%. Conservative Thomas Kerr, 3.9%, down by 11.1%. Lib Dem, 2.9%, down by minus 2.3%. Scottish Greens, Cameron 82%, up by 2% there. And Reform UK, David Stark had 1.3%, up 1.3% there. Well, listeners, this is where I bring the program to a close for today. But wherever you are, I hope that you're going to be having a very, 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 very lovely day. But my producers have brought me one other story. Let me just touch on that quickly, and then we go. Now, it says the police have arrested a 16-year-old teenager after who stabbed a boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a teenager was stabbed to death in Brighton city centre. Emergency services were called to attack in Queen's Road at about 17 hours BST on Thursday. A 17-year-old boy was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Sussex police said his next of kin have been informed. Now, following an extensive search, a 16-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Detective Superintendent Andy Wolstenholme of the Surrey and Sussex Major Crime Team said this is a tragic incident in which a young man has lost his life, and we understand the community will be shocked and alarmed. A suspect is in custody, and a fast moving investigation is underway to establish exactly what happened and why. While we do so, there will be an increased police presence in the area for some time. Caroline Lucas, MP for Brighton, said on Twitter or X that she was shocked and incredibly sorry to hear the news. My thoughts and sympathies are with the friends and loved ones, she said. A sad one there, but as we pray on this platform, may Nigeria never happen to you, and may such incidents never happen to you. May you have a lovely weekend, and I'll be back, God willing, on Monday with another edition of the morning show. But I wanted to bring you one song. It's a cover version of Bob Marley's tune, but it seemed not to be lining up for me. So let me instead bring you that of a free year, which I only says what? Country hot. So all the African ladies, well, Tinubu will tell you that my certificate is making me hot. Yes, and he said anybody who presents a fake document to the INEC will find themselves in trouble. But now that they are there, they said, you know what? Let's change the tune. But well, whatever it is, I pray that you have a lovely weekend until we come your way next week. I say, God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye for now. It's me, your one and only Archie, saying ciao.
Hungry man say fix the country, belleful say fix yourself.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Country hot, Charlie.
Thanks for listening.
Everybody feel the heat, even begin they feel the heat. So we are the pray for change. We say fix the country.
You say fix yourself.
Aye. Fix the country.
We say fix yourself.
Hey,
tell me who be the country?
Tell me you be the country.
Fix yourself.
We say fix the country.
You say fix yourself.
Aye. Fix the country.
We say fix yourself.
Hey,
tell me who be the country?
Tell me you be the country.
Fix yourself.
What a plenty, the movie fest. What a plenty, the movie fest. You will get to go, plenty to go. Faro, Shayo, Babeshi and Lo. Hey, we say fix the country.
You say fix yourself.
Aye, aye, aye. Fix the country.
We say fix yourself. Tell me who be the country, who be the country,
now you be the country.
fix yourself.
I wanna hear that. Hey, we say fix the country.
You say fix yourself.
Aye, aye, aye. Fix the country.
We say fix yourself. Tell me who be the country, we be the country, you be the country, fix yourself.
Aye, aye, yeah. Your minimum wage be hand to mouth. The government know the pay for month. From the same day the thing will come, the bills will come. Yeah, yeah,